Hey guys. Okay, so next up for parent functions are going to be quadratics. So the parent function we're going to talk about is f of x equals x squared. Again, named quadratics, that's their formal name. Transformation formatting is going to be y equals a times the quantity of, that's why we say it with parentheses, x minus h squared plus k. So anytime that we have a transformation to a parabola, it will look inside that formatting. I went ahead and created a t-chart for our parent function, which I've also graphed over here for us, just so we have something to compare to. I want to talk about the h transformation that we brought up in class. That's going to be the left and right motions. I want to see what that looks like and how you can compare it to the parent functions. So first of all, I pick the x values. You have the freedom to pick whatever x values you want. Just remember, keep the numbers kind of small. It makes the math easier. No point in saying, oh, I want to try out negative 22. Well, try out negative 22, square it. You're going to be way up there, and you got to graph all that too. So I kept to negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. Now I chose 5 points just because I wanted my graph to look accurate. We will be able to simplify and not have to do as many points as we get more familiar with this function. So negative 2 being squared, please make sure you're using parentheses, whether you're using your calculator or writing it down. And the reason why is without parentheses, the negative stays on the outside. And what that says is that says 2 times 2, and then it times it by a negative. This way, when you include the parenthesis, you're saying negative 2 times negative 2, and the two negatives will give you your positive. So negative 2 squared gets me 4, negative 1 squared gets me 1, 0 squared gets me 0, 1 squared gets me 1, and 2 squared gets me 4. And I went ahead and plotted those points up here for you. If you want a chance to get this down, please feel free to pause the video and copy it all down. What we're going to work on now is we're going to work on those horizontal transformations. So what happens when there's something inside of the parentheses? And remember in class I told you that if it's inside parentheses, I should move in the opposite direction of what I think. And what I have right here is I'm going to investigate that I have a negative 2, and that's my h value. That's the guy inside. So if a negative 2 would normally make my brain say the parent function should move left, but remember, I'm using the opposite of what's going on. And that means I'm going to take this parent function, and when I'm done, I should have a graph that looks just like him, only moved over to the right 2 units. So let's see how that works out. Like, why is that math happening that way? So I'm going to set up a t-chart. And I'm going to pick some values. And again, I'm a big fan of picking a negative, a 0, and a positive. So I'm going to choose negative 1, 0, 2. And just because I really want to get a feel for a parabola, I'm going to choose that extra point right now. Parabolas or quadratics, this is a parabola, but it's under the family of quadratics. So please excuse me if I go back and forth. Again, it's a quadratic family, but that's a parabola. So their best quality is that they're reflective and they're symmetric over the y-axis. So what that means is that when I find the vertex, the center of it, okay, so I have the vertex, when there's that, then what I can find is an equal point on both sides. So as soon as I find the point for 1, I automatically found the point for negative 1 because it's symmetric around the origin. Now, again, that's where the vertex is. So once we find the vertex, it's like a 2-for-1 deal. I can do the work for one problem and automatically get the problem on the other side of the vertex that's the same distance. And I'll show you what I mean when I say that. So I'm going to go ahead and start the math. Negative 1 minus 2 squared. Make sure you do the stuff inside the parentheses before you square it. So we're going to go same signs, add them, and then give the answer the sign. So negative 1 minus 2 says that's 1 plus 2, which is 3. But they're both negative, so negative 3. But that's negative 3 in parentheses being squared. So negative 3 times negative 3 gets us positive 9. So my first ordered pair is negative 1, 9. Plug in my 0. I get negative 2 squared, which gets me 4. Next ordered pair is 0, 4. plug in 2. That gets me 0 squared, which gets me 0. And then I'm going to plug in 3. That gets me 3 minus 2, which is 1. 1 squared, which is 1. And that's going to get me 3 comma 1. Now my job is to go ahead and graph those points. So let's go ahead and take care of that. 1, negative 9. Negative 1, 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Next up is 0, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I have 2, 0. And then I have 3, 1. Now, you may be wondering, how do I know if I hit the vertex? The vertex will either be the lowest or the highest point of the graph. I realize I just hit my vertex because my point started going up again. Now, this is where I have that free point of information, but I also utilize the fact it's U-shaped. That's what the parent function is, so this function should be U-shaped. So I'm going to go ahead and just connect my dots. And what we described at the beginning just happened. I moved to the right 2 units from the origin, and I got my blue graph. That's what this guy did. It had moved right 2 units. Boom. Now, what I want you to do on your own, and I'm going to check this tomorrow, is I want you to graph this guy with the same t-chart. In fact, let me set up the t-chart. I'll give you the x numbers, and you plug them in. So what I'm going to give you is I'm going to ask you to do -4, -3, 0, and 1. I want you to plug those in and then graph that and then tell me how did the function move. So we're going to see it and then you're going to describe that to me. We're going to come back to this. I'm going to pause this video here and get that uploaded, and then we're going to talk about what happens when I combine the H and the K together. Okay? Thanks, guys.